So the most common challenge what we face in today's classroom is to grab the attention of the learners. Bringing arts into teaching, always it's a welcoming idea. It naturally increases the student engagement, but it's not very easy as we think so. Why not we make use of ChatGPT or any other AI tools to generate such examples or stories? She one day took the entire class to our music teacher, made a music for two Tamil poems, and asked everybody of us to sing. So everybody enjoyed the session, and the poem is still in my mind with the same tune. Stories, and it can be generalized to any languages. So I think storytelling must be explored much before exploring the poetry. Anitha ma'am, I would like to ask you a very common question. So the most common challenge what we face in today's classroom is to grab the attention of the learners, right? I know you are a poet. I am a fan of your Tamil book on Malai Pidithal too. So what is your opinion on bringing arts into our classroom, especially to promote attention of our students? Yeah, bringing arts into teaching, always it's a welcoming idea. It naturally increases the student engagement and enhances the student retention over any technical subjects. But it's not very easy as we think so. When I was recollecting something that connecting arts with teaching, I go back to my school days actually. Once for every year, we are forced to remember few Tamil poems from the literature. So we need to spend a lot more hours to memorize those poems, write those poems. But one simple way that is suggested by my Tamil teacher, she one day took the entire class to our music teacher, made a music for two Tamil poems, and asked everybody of us to sing. So everybody enjoyed the session, and the poem is still in my mind with the same tune. So I think art and teaching has a greater impact in all these things. And as you have mentioned about including poetry inside the teaching, so I just got one example from my own poem. So I have this. It's of Tamil, but I'll just have a translation for you. So it's a awesome poem written for a love that's not recognized better. So a lover is requesting the partner that please understand the depth of my love with your understanding. I suddenly perceive it in the perspective of data mining. When I see love as data, and the another love is the mining algorithms. So mining algorithms are essentially needed to understand the nature of the data. So I think I could relate one of my poems to one technical topic when I had time. So it took some 5 to 10 minutes to think about that and come with an idea. So I think poetry is a good form. But once again, we have a challenge of poetry. It is Tamil. And this must be understood by the students of Tamil. Agreed. So when it comes to connecting this literature form to the teaching, we need to have a lot of back work because this work is region specific and language specific. So more number of teachers who are really passionate about the literature or poetry must work in this. So I think it's a good task to start with, but it's not a very short task or an what's that? It's a very open-ended question. Yeah. So I think for replacing this poetry, we can finding relevant poems is also a difficult task. Yeah. And then we should have the mindset of our students to listen to our poem first. Of course. That's the second challenge we have. And probably the third challenge would be, since it is dependent on the mindset of the people, we cannot immediately make them appreciate the beauty of poems. Of course. So that's also a major task. I cannot express every person that please think love as a data mining algorithm.
It's only the people who understand this can relate to that. So it's the hardship of integrating poetry. And
moreover, poems comes naturally out.
Yeah.
But forcefully bringing them into the classroom will not satisfy all the requirements. But if done meticulously, this will be an awesome work.
Even I now reminded of an Tirukural. Pilibai Sakadum Achirum Appanda Chala Vigithu Pain. It's a Tamil Tirukural. It talks like a peacock feather is a very light one, right? But when you load it as a bundle, it may even break the vehicle's fulcrum. So this is what the idea behind that one. So I see that as a thing for overfitting in machine learning. So it can be. But this is very hard to relate. But when I say a very simple story of that, I hope everybody remember the story of one lion and four cows gazing at, unity is strength. We can easily relate with the divide and conquer algorithm of data structures.
Agreed.
Right? So, stories are very general rather than going with poetry or region specific, language specific. Stories relate, and it can be generalized to any languages. So, I think storytelling must be explored much before exploring the poetry.
Okay. So, just when you are speaking about this storytelling, there was a story which was told to us by a professor of IIT. To emphasize that necessity is the mother of invention. So we all remember the thirsty crow story, right? When the crow was thirsty and it could not find water on the top of the pot, it dropped some stones in the pot and water raises up and so on. So he said that the crow was able to find out an idea only since because it is thirsty at that time. So similarly, many of the technological advancements like blockchain and other things have evolved only due to necessity.
Yeah.
So this was the point he was trying to emphasize. And this particular story was nicely correlated with the theme, I guess. And I have listened to this, I think, before 10 years, but still I was able to recollect. So that's the power of relating storytelling with the technical content, I guess.
The very interesting thing is everybody loves to hear stories. Even students in any age, stories are always
age group,
gender anything. Stories are always interesting to hear. So embedding those stories inside our sessions is a fantastic idea to start with. Even I have not started much, and we need to work on as a crowdsourcing initiative for this one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it would not be possible because storytelling automatically instigates a visualization that naturally connects with the technical topic. Even now I remember to memorize the colors inside in the Indian flag. For a smaller kid, it's very hard to remember those 3 colors in the Indian flag. So one simple illustration made by one of our school teachers is, imagine that you are at a food feast. First, they'll put a banana leaf of green color and they will give you a white rice, and on the white rice, they'll put an orange curry. That's the order of the Indian flag.
So this is traditional South Indian pattern.
Yeah, so it's very easy to remember.
Yeah.
So that's how storytelling makes a greater impact. But however, a smaller set of people cannot do this. A project should be developed so that much more people across India contributes to the storytelling initiative with so many technical concepts, and a repository has to be created for that.
Of course.
Yeah. So we can even take stories from our epics, your Bible stories, and all the books that we have read with the modern literature as well as the Sangam literature, as we said. So ancient and modern, every part of it can be taken and stories can be knit to the technical topic.
When we are speaking about bringing poetry and storytelling into our classrooms, we always love to learn by examples, right? What is your thought on identifying suitable examples to illustrate a technical concept?
When I say some examples, usually examples should be collected from our daily life.
Yeah.
So it's the first thing
Something
that
the students are already
are
familiar
already
with.
familiar with. So I cannot make an example that I'm familiar with. So
Yeah, yeah.
so that's the one thing that, for example, um, if I talk about a decision tree, so I should bring how a decision is made in their family for a particular situation. So that's how storytelling should start with. So we need not always connect with
The issue to
issues
address
that
that
are
must also be
currently
a common issue.
yeah. So any common issues that actually it's like a problem based learning. It's a shorter PBL like thing. We can ideally start with the problem that currently the student faces in the campus or outside the campus in their family, and we should start with working on that to arrive at the technical concept that we are into. This is one method of doing that by examples. Otherwise, we can go for the stories from the even Panchatantra. We have a good repository of stories.
Yeah.
So always, I think we can connect every story to any of the technical topic if we really have an idea towards that.
Right, ma'am. So this conversation about identifying relevant examples to deliver a technical concept reminds me of an example which was done in my school days. When my teacher taught me how does the planetary system revolve. Every planet revolves around itself and also revolve around the sun. So few of the students were called on to the stage, and there was a student who was placed at the center to indicate the role of sun, and there were 9 planets and they were placed in an orbit, and the teacher made the students to rotate herself again, and at the same place he also asked to revolve around the earth. So this particular imagination, at that time we did not have any animation or something like that to illustrate that concept. But this simple role play also helped us to remember this concept forever.
Yeah.
So that's the power of teaching. And what we feel is the role of the teachers is to make the students understand the concept and then remember it forever and to utilize it whenever there is a need for that.
I think role plays are really a significant method of doing all these demonstrations. So I think we should have a thumb rule that in a class of 1 hour, how many minutes that as we are talking to the students and how many minutes that they should be engaged.
And one more point is we should be very cautious that we do not use the same example to the same audience. Sometimes it happens and students remember it very nicely and they will in turn make jokes upon us.
That's the greatest challenge that we have, because the seniors pass on these informations to the juniors. See, if madam comes to the class for this subject, she will tell you this example and she'll make you to do all these things. When they come with the same expectations and when we also go with the same idea, then everything become a flop.
Yeah.
So we need to be innovative always in everything, and that's comes. There come again a major problem of having a sustainability in doing these practices. Do you have any examples of such storytelling or a fascinating starter for any technical topic?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to explain so I am handling a subject on cryptography. And in that, we need to illustrate how steganography works, what are the algorithms for steganography, and so on.
Can you
steganography is nothing but the art of hiding messages and sending them to the recipient so that the intruder will not be aware of what is being sent. So you are trying to cover the entire message rather than encrypting. We are trying to cover the entire message. So I have to describe this concept to the student, and I thought of introducing this with the small example. So we would have done this experiment in our school days. At that time, we would have this fountain pens wherein we can pour ink and then write. Instead of pouring ink into it, you can add some lemon juice and then you can write it on a piece of paper. And when you look into the paper, it may not be visible. But the same paper, if you hold in front of the candlelight, all these letters will be oxidized and you will be able to see what it is. So that's what is exactly steganography.
Okay.
So the third party will not be able to understand what is written here. They even need not know what is there. But when it is revealed and experimented under different conditions, you may be able to experiment the same. This particular thought will invoke the students. It will inspire the students actually, and they will start reading books on how it is done digitally. We need not teach them, but we can make them read books, which otherwise would be a difficult task. So there were students who took this steganography as a final year project only because of their example. So this helped them to grasp the concept very easily in no point of time. So I think identifying such relevant examples would make the class interesting. But identification of such examples, this I have got it through my personal experience. It will not be the same for anyone. As you rightly said, we can have a repository of all such examples, and that could add a flavor to our classrooms teaching.
I personally feel that this collaboration for preparation.
So all like-minded
missing,
people should come in. There must be a community, and in that community, we can share these things, like how we have a community for coding, open source, and there must be a community exclusively for this teaching learning process, and people teaching one subject, so they can have some channels and they can start discussing. And many a times we don't take this as a valid theme for discussion. So even though we have worked for many years together, the time we have spent for discussing how to teach a particular concept is very minimal, right? Unless otherwise we take the common subject or something else, we don't do this. So it's time to look into that too.
Yes. So I think we also had a discussion sometime around last year, that how do we collaborate? At least the people who are taking the same courses must collaborate and share their innovative ideas, at least inside a campus. Only on then we can move on towards developing such a common repository for teaching.
But one other thing is, this is again just like bringing poetry into our classroom. It has to happen naturally. If it is made into a systematic plan or something like that, the beauty of that gets lost somewhere.
Yes. Actually, bringing art in teaching, this discussion started with the question, bringing art in teaching. So I personally assume that teaching itself is an art. So automatically it depends upon the person who is teaching, depends upon the attitude, the style of the person who is teaching. So a collaborative effort can make some influence. The person who put art in teaching can influence other persons who aspire to bring art in teaching.
Yes.
So such a collaboration is essential. I think templating of these activities, as we discussed earlier, is essential at this stage.
Yes. And I would like to know, identification of these examples, stories, or poems is a difficult task. Why not we make use of ChatGPT or any other AI tools to generate such examples or stories? I've tried this with ChatGPT. I'll just explain the concept to be taught, and then I ask ChatGPT to give me some examples relevant to this. Or I normally use the prompt like, explain this concept in layman terms. 50% of the times it gives us some good examples, but 50% of the times we don't get the examples that appropriately matches. Have you done that, and what is your experience on this?
From the era of ChatGPT, we have been exploring this for many purposes. So one of the purpose is using AI for education. So I have tried for two different things. One is for setting up the starter of my class, as you said, giving examples or what are the activities that are to be planned. And another is for assessments. So I'll give a question that was being practiced, or the style of question that what I'm used to do, and I asked GPT to generate few other questions similar to the same. So this is usually done, but when I come to that starter, I don't get a response as
Which
much
you like.
I like to have.
Yeah, yeah.
So as of now, because we don't have enough data for
training.
training, we have not designed the data. So that's how human now need to jump into such initiative, so that at least for helping others or creating a data on it, we need to work on some template. For example, I choose a technical topic one, I need to go on with what type of game that I need to start with, what examples I can have, more and more examples. So what examples do I have? For example, region specific for Tamil, or for Telugu, for Hindi people, for Punjabi. So we should have a list of examples that could contribute to the region specific models. And also we need to have a set of activities
Yeah, yeah.
for doing that particular.
Sometimes these AI tools generate good lesson plan for us. So the time taken for delivery, the time taken for assessment, they all is meticulously calculated. But since the creativity part, as humans, we have to add on to it.
Yeah. So even though multiple, we are good at prompt engineering, as due to the lack of data, especially in the education field, we are not able to get much inputs from. So it's the time that we need to work on all these
As
things.
you said, a repository of teaching learning templates would also help ChatGPT to train on that particular aspect.
Other, and it can refine, it can give its own refined version as well. And it could be a very good initiative, and it could be a greatest asset for the teachers, especially for fresh teachers who are coming into this line.
So when you are talking about fresh teachers and this repository, I would like to discuss on this topic. So nowadays we have more number of educational technology papers flowing in, but can we recommend these papers as reference for fresh teachers or even for us to design a lesson plan? What is your thought process on it?
Okay, so I think there are lump sum of papers available. So when we give so much of papers to a fresher, it might have two different effects. One might be positive or one might be negative. Why should I come to this line with I need to do a lot of homework to do this? So when I was telling that, when some active learning or collaborative learning, whatever that are introduced with a fresh teacher, with some step 1, step 2 and step 3, actually they step back.
Yeah.
So it naturally happens. So when we put so many steps inside on implementing a simple strategy, so it might
so people may ask us, why do you make teaching so difficult,
so
by
complicated?
introducing
By
so
introducing, why don't they come and teach and
on their own?
on their
We should give
own
independence to them.
So
for their
I think we
teaching
need
style.
to have case studies, not research papers to be for to open a career. We can give enough case studies for them, or some good books related to that offers very simple tips to the fresher.
Yeah.
And so that might help them. So for example, I have read through a book called Teaching and Learning STEM, written by Felder and Brent. It offers very simple tips on 12 different topics. So it starts from course design till assessment. So such books, the essence of such books could be introduced in the college level, in the orientation program or induction program, whatever name that they name. So such types of case studies and important tips and these should be presented instead of having a very long complicated research paper towards that. So that's my idea. Do you have any other opinion on this?
When we are talking about this research papers, I remember a research paper exclusively on how to teach electric circuits. It's something like field theory paper. Field theory with relevant examples. This particular paper was published in 1970s to 80s. But however, the theme of the paper is to just make the teaching easier with relevant examples. As you know, it's a dry subject, and the author has listed few examples through which you can teach that particular subject very easily. But sir, that's one exceptional paper, but we cannot identify such papers for all the common courses that we teach.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. But as you said rightly, if we have a group of people working together on this idea, we will be able to build good lesson templates in a short period of time. So the thing is, we have to gather like-minded people together and then work upon.
I think we need a revamp of textbooks as well.
Yeah.
I think,
but students nowadays do not depend upon the textbooks.
yes, at least for us, for teachers, because we used to stick on to the conventional textbooks actually. But nowadays there are much more textbooks that are really presented well with so much of case studies, anecdotes, and examples. So I think it should be made as an additional textbooks should be identified, so that these a repository of case studies are already there in many of the courses. So those case studies could be taken by the teachers. So such textbooks need to be identified and added to the content. So that must be done. And that must be recommended by the experts in the field.
About these case studies, normally when you do a result analysis of the terminal examinations in BTech undergraduate programs, we find that there will be many failures, especially in mathematics. And we conducted a survey sort of thing to analyze exactly what is the difficulty in getting pass marks in mathematics or mathematics related papers. And you know, student what responded as, if this subject is taught with real-time examples, or if this subject is taught with some case studies, we would be able to grasp better. So that particular concept was actually missing when it is taught by a mathematics faculty to a IT student or CSE student. So it would be better if both of them collaborate. Let the mathematics teacher teach the mathematical part, and the computer science or IT teacher teaches the relevant algorithm relating to that. So that makes the student easier to understand. Learning pure mathematics in a dry form makes them, they do not gain interest to that particular subject. And when we were talking with Sudarshan sir also showed us a book which includes complete case studies to teach all concepts on calculus. It was quite surprising to know that calculus could be taught with the examples. We never had a teacher in a lifetime who teaches calculus with real-time examples.
It's actually a burning problem.
Yeah.
Every student who is attending mathematics classes, they are with some complaint that sync never occurs.
Even from standing outside the classroom, we could understand what class it is. Many students will yawn, many students will be gazing at their watches, mobile phones. We can understand that there is mathematics class going
mathematics or a theory based without any connect to the real-time applications in which they are belonging to, right?
So, of course, teacher will be sweating, moving here and there, writing too many things on the
efforts by board. Mathematics teacher, but it's not recognized as much because sometimes it's not getting connected to them.
Yeah.
So that's the burning problem, and I think mathematics and the engineering discipline teacher should work together to address this. So none of them can stand alone to address this problem. So they should form a team and then sit along and find applications for which even the Fourier transformation is a wonderful theory, but as a mathematics, it is often neglected as a simple mathematical derivation. So it applications in analytics or machine learning or
probability,
any other
statistics, it's not everything can be clubbed with all these subjects like machine learning, deep learning.
Yeah.
And if taught in that blended mode, it would be
Yeah.
the best.
Only if it is taught in that way, it would be appreciated by the students. Why am I studying this? I think we have an instructional design called ARCS model, right? Attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. And in that, the second phase is relevance, that it requires us to relate the topic to the real time application in which the students are going to work or in which they are currently working. It demands. So, only on putting that relevance, any subject can be taken to the next level.
Yeah.
So, mathematics or any theoretical subject should be taken to the application level, even programming. So, asking a programming to find the greatest of three numbers will not create an interest among the students.
Yeah.
So, we have to put a catch there. We have to put what's that? Some magical factor there, so that makes a simple concept to be thought and then worked it out. So we need to. I think ChatGPT is much helpful for such
Yeah.
scenarios, because I once happened to take C programming. Usually, C programming or all those papers would not be given to me, but once I had the blessing of having a C programming, and in that I really appreciate the work that ChatGPT has done for me. I've just said, see, this is a scenario. Kindly generate some sentences so that it makes students too easy. So it automatically creates a parking system, or it automatically creates a billing system, anything, but in simple words. It creates a scenario, and actually it's a program that makes use of an array. So array is a concept in any programming language, right? So instead of asking a program, find the greatest number and all that, or find the minimum
search the array, sort the array.
A simple problem that worked on with a parking lot, it's create their interest. So find it's a very simple problem that's coined by GPT, that find a lot that is free and say that it is free or not. But when it comes like a problem to them that is not introduced anywhere else, it becomes a good experience for them and also for us. So a similar type of problem can be easily generated by GPT as well. So we need not what to say, neglect GPT totally by have a lot of complaints on them. Yes, it has its own disadvantages or drawbacks. It affects thinking skills. Everything is fine, but as teachers, we should be finding our ways how GPT usage can also be leading to good assessments. I think you have some examples to use that, right?
So I do take a course on network security lab, so which involves coding of certain cryptographic algorithms basically. So when these experiments are given, students normally use these code generators, download the code and rename the variables, and even without understanding, they would be able to generate the desired output. And what is the objective of doing that particular experiment? That never gets fulfilled. So what we thought of is, we allowed the students to make use of code generators like ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever it is. But we generated few questions that will make the students to run the code, to understand the code. For example, if there is an experiment on develop the code for a cryptographic algorithm like Hill cipher or data encryption standard, instead of just generating the code, we may have some questions like extend the code so that it works for Tamil language, or extend the code so that it encrypts an image. Compute the time taken for different samples. The samples we could generate and give it to them so that they give those samples as input, computes the time taken, and we may also give them the cipher and ask them to do cryptanalysis also. So which is normally considered as a high complex experiment for a second year student. But with the help of these chat GPTs or other code generators, their learning level is increased. Normally, they do this at the apply level in Bloom's taxonomy. Now they are implicitly taken to the analyze level so that they understand how the code works. And one other thing is, if we bring them half-baked code and ask them to do the rest
yeah.
of the lines of the code, they also do
tried
wonderful
this.
work.
Even if we
Instead of asking them to develop a newer application,
it is easier for them to develop a newer application now rather than
enhancing the existing code.
Because we can give a existing code and ask to introduce the changes that what we wanted to do. So and, I think there exists some
and if we allow them to use this code generators, they can also understand alternate ways of developing the code. They will never stick on to one particular approach. They thought they'll come up with multiple ways to solve the same problem. They'll be able to compare the performance of different ways and so on. And I feel that's the strength of allowing them to use code generators and laboratory classes.
In this C programming, I would like to share that I can easily catch the code that is got from ChatGPT because GPT generates a complex code.
Yeah. By looking into the variable names itself, you will be able to identify
the style of writing and the functions used. We can easily identify for a very simple task that is given. GPT generates something so complicated, and without knowing anything about that, they just bring the code. So on looking into that, we can understand that and ask them to do in a simpler way would be another option. So how do you use very simple methods to do a code? Or coming into a poetry, I can ask the student to write a poem how Python functions work. Write 4 lines on like a poem, like 4 lines on how a function works, or how what is talk about or a shorter paragraph on how literature connects with arrays. Or a poem for an data structure queue or stack. And also nowadays we can go for different types of assessments that we know that students are directly involved, like video making or audio notes, but the time taken for evaluating so much of assignments is larger, but there's where we can give intermediate assignments, such video assignments, so that really at least they work for at least preparing the video at least.
But at this point, it's not just adding stories or adding relevant examples. More important is the subject expertise of the teacher that plays a major role.
Yes, of course.
I had the opportunity to attend certain sessions of eminent professors. With simple chalk, they were able to illustrate beautifully, and they could grab the attention of all the learners. So somebody can do that, but it's not possible with all. But still then, most important factor in our teaching is the subject proficiency what we have. We should never forget that.
Because as the pedagogical techniques grows higher and higher, there is a myth that practicing so many pedagogical activities one
will make you a big great teacher.
Student engagement or retention or deeper knowledge into student, but it need not be so. If you are a master in the content, I think content itself is enough for a student if he wishes to. But anyway, as we know, students have different learning style and learning pace. We must understand that some students may be lacking in what we tell at that particular time period. We have to take care of them. And it's not only with active learning or collaborative learning. We need to be excelling in mentorship also. As teachers, we need to be, a machine cannot do this. An online teacher cannot, an AI teacher cannot do this. I have to monitor each and every student, and I have to give individualized feedback. So I can I know the pulse of my classroom if I'm present inside the class. No, by looking into everybody's faces, I know whether this concept gets into them
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not. And I can even change my words of description, I can change my examples, and I can change the way I deliver based on the way that they respond. So, this happens in a very good class only if the uh, instructor is expert in the
Yeah, yeah.
content.
Okay.
But for a fresh teacher who is forced with some content, do we have any ideas?
So, as I said, the first thing is learn the subject better. And then, one thing they can do is they can have a formal discussion with the co faculty or with teachers who have handled the subject in prior. So, if there is no such faculty in their institution, they could look for their courses in NPTEL or in other platforms. So that will give them a better way to teach the new subject. I normally follow this. Whenever I'm given a new subject, I look for such courses in online platforms, look into the way they deliver the course or deliver the content, and also I look especially into the assessment part of it. That's where we need to focus more upon, because we are used to the traditional way of setting question papers and other things. So, but all these courses will definitely serve as a guideline to improve our teaching. No doubt in that.
Yes, yes. I remember that once I was given Python programming. That was the first time that Python programming was given to me. I came to you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as you have already have a good repository of many programs and the structured way of
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
a lab. So I got so many problems from Jeyamala madam, and I took it the same way to my students, adding my own flavors
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
that.
And
So
Sudarshan sir was also mentioning about this many small problems. So there is one big
MSPs.
yes, one big advantage of that many small problems is that when we solve a problem, we gain some confidence. When we solve too many small problems, we gain greater confidence actually, and that confidence will definitely help us to tackle a complex problem when given in examinations. I have experimented this for students who are totally non-computer science students, and they will be gaining the confidence in what to say, in a significant way if they are given with too many problems, but provided the complexity is very less. Once these sort of problems were introduced in their early times, later they would develop complex problems, no doubt in that.